Hi all, I am Varun Ramesh. We are here to attend the Poynter Institute Journalism Workshop. We are documenting It's For You.
Hi, I'm Rajesh Gopal. Along with Varun, I'm also attending this Poynter Institute's Journalism Workshop. I hope it will be a nice session for us to get an update from new media journalism and multimedia platform as well.
There are editorials, but when you think about where the power is.
It's not the marketing department, the sales department doesn't make decisions. 300 by 250 add on it or whether I want it. See?
You do that because in the end something good comes out of it. I can totally get that.
Then again, you think about something like coding, like you know where to go.
Restructured the courses and we have to give practical sessions.
I think you wrote down identify the need. Radio would be a very strong.
We have sequences of shots, kind of like sentences.
We have a little wrap-up session.
How I wish there was that.
The Poynter Institute is a training institute that was created almost 40 years ago with the purpose of training journalists to get better at their craft. Its mission is to help journalists and those interested in doing journalism get better at writing and editing, at digital tools, and we do this through a variety of means. We do this with seminars at the Institute, we do it at seminars that are in classrooms and in newsrooms, and we do it through the world's largest e-learning site for journalism training, which is called News University, which serves more than 250,000 registered users in the world. Well, we're discussing whether there is an opportunity for Poynter to help journalists and journalism in India by taking some of our e-learning content and adapting it to the needs of the journalist in India, and whether that is localization or having things that are more accessible than in addition to the free courses we already have. So this is something we're exploring. These are our dreams. We believe that Poynter and India could be bound together to serve journalism in the world's biggest democracy, which is India. Well, it's a revolutionary time for journalism. It's a revolutionary time for journalists, but within revolutions there are opportunities. There are ways that you can change what you're doing. There are ways that you can do things different. You can do things better. You've heard from my colleagues today. It's about adapting to change, adopting the change, writing the change to make yourself better. And, you know, if you change, chances are you're going to change for the better. Because by its very nature, change can be good for the soul, and which will make your journalism better, and that's good for everybody.
Yeah, for us, this has been a big learning experience for us. You know, part of our job has been to pass along some of the things we know, not to lecture, but just to share information, and also to learn more about Indian journalists and what they go through. And I've found the experience to be fascinating and invigorating. I think Indian journalism is very robust. You know, you look at the crowds that we have here of really passionate journalists. I'm very impressed with that. I think we have issues that are similar. I also think we have issues that are not similar at all, because I think we work in different environments. For example, tomorrow we're going to talk about watchdog journalism. What I learned in the first session was we have some things that are in common when it comes to watchdog journalism. We like to do it, for example. We all like to do it, you know, both Indian journalists and American journalists. The environment for Indian journalists is a lot tougher than it is for American journalists. We don't have life threats to us. You know, we don't have physical threats, so that's tougher, and it's hard to talk in that context. The other thing that I've learned about Indian journalism, and we learned this from the journalists in Chennai, is they get frustrated because they think some of their audience doesn't really care about the stuff they write about. And in America, we have some of the same things, but usually you get some kind of reaction when you do an investigative story. Overall, though, the experience has been good. I think we've been able to learn some things from each other, and I've loved it.
So it adds more pressure. As we know, some of the traditional values of credibility include seeking the truth and telling it as fully as we can, acting with journalistic independence, and trying our best to minimize the harm against some of the people that we write about. We know that as we're able to use these powerful tools to tell different stories, that some of these traditional values may get challenged. For example, we went through a series of stories that I worked on called Yolanda's Crossing, in which we were challenged to make good decisions about how to put images and videos together with the audio of the narration. I think that probably what's happening is you still have very loyal readers for hardback books, people who just love the feeling of the physical book cover and the pages, and they find reading a pleasure in that way. But then many are also beginning to use the electronic books, especially younger people, who enjoy that reading experience as well. So I don't think it's necessarily leading to the extinction of the physical book, but you'll have both. Well, in terms of what I'm learning a lot about the issues that Indian journalists and news organizations face here. I'm just really fascinated by some of the pressures and challenges that many of the participants have brought up, and that makes me want to come back and learn even more and spend time here. In terms of what Poynter can achieve, I can't speak specifically for Poynter, but I would guess that they would be interested in making a stronger relationship here, truly understanding what the needs are of the journalists as well as journalism students and educators, and then figuring out ways that Poynter can help with these needs, whether it's through online learning and even on-site visits.
Journalism education in the U.S. has been relatively slow to change. But I think in the past 2 years it's realized that to meet the needs of a changing industry, we can't teach in the same way that we did in 1970 or 1980 or even 2005, that every year we have to look at our curriculum and devise new classes that help our students still understand traditional skills and values, but also learn how to tell stories in different ways. I think students who become journalists in the future are going to learn to tell stories over all different kinds of platforms, both in print and digitally. I think that they are going to use social media to tell stories. I think they're going to tell stories over things that don't exist yet, that we have not even seen. Things like Twitter are only a few years old, and I think there will be more of those kinds of social media apps that people use to access news and information. So I think the jobs are going to be different than they were 10 years ago, and in another 10 years they won't look like they do now.
Journalism is very much about educating the citizens, right? And I think the difference between US and India is that the citizens in the US participate in the process of democracy more aggressively than they do here in India. Because in the US, the day-to-day life of ordinary citizen is easy. so they can think about, you know, participating when a zoning issue happens, or a school is being proposed, or some infrastructure changes are happening, or you know, there is some kind of development happening. The people are involved in who is given the contract. If there are any environmental concerns, the public is aware, and they are aware because the reporters do a great job of explaining the issue to them. In India, I think we pay so much attention to like politicians and just like following them without really analyzing what is the hidden agenda behind their you know, motivation, or what is the motivation behind it. There is a difficulty in involving the citizen because the people are so much, it's so difficult to live your life day to day here. If your traffic situation is bad and you are taking 2 hours to get home, you really don't have the time to think about, oh my God, how am I going to change this world? You know, your life has to be a little peaceful for you to be able to be involved and make a change. So I think the journalists have to do that job for the people. They have to be alert. They have to see that if there is development happening and there are environmental concerns, that you communicate that really, really well, right? So I think that is the basic difference. There is citizen involvement in the US, and there is a lack of citizen involvement in India. I think journalists get some kind of pressure, although it is, because everything is such an open thing in the US, it comes to light immediately, and the news organization is completely behind the journalist. So if I get threatened, my news organization will support me. They will help me in, you know, if I have to fight a legal battle, if I say that I don't want to reveal my source, because if I'm doing an investigative story and I don't want to reveal my source, my organization will help me. There are laws that protect me, right? They're called the sunshine laws in my state. It's the shield laws, right, that protect me. So for me, there are things or organizations that protect me. So, but in India, when we were talking to the journalists in Chennai, they were like, the photographer took a picture of illegal construction and his thumb was cut off. So that kind of risk is very difficult to imagine in the US. But if you read stories all over the world, last year in 2013, the number of journalists killed was at an all-time high all over the world. So it's not that journalists are not in a risky situation. And as a professional, there is some sort of risk involved in it. It is not that journalists are not jailed in the US. It is just that the purpose for which they are jailed is different, right? A journalist refuses to reveal their source, they can be put into jail, but their organization fights for them. There are organizations that protect journalists and help them deal with their mental stress or their physical stress. In India, we kind of discussed, you know, forming such kind of organizations that support the journalist, because you as a journalist need to know that your institution is behind you. Correct. If you are going out to cover a story and you know that if you get into some kind of trouble, you have to pay all your hospital bills, you will not take any risk, right? Correct. But if you feel that, you know, yeah, maybe they'll break my hands and legs, but at least I won't be bothered by the hospital bill, you will still feel that you can take a risk, right? So I think there is an incredible threat to journalists here because of the political pressures and the gundaism. You know, if everybody unites in favor of a journalist, then that will not happen. It is a slow and gradual process, but we are a democracy, we have to get to that. The first thing is the traditional thought process that thinks that good journalism can only be done in print. That's your first thing. good storytelling or good journalism can be done using different platforms, different mediums, and different interactive tools. And we have done it and we have proved it. Number two, training journalists who have traditionally been only on one medium to learn new skills so that they are versatile and can manage time. Number three, compensation, right? If I am skilled, pay me for my skills, right? So if I get encouragement and motivation because I am a multimedia journalist, then I am excited to learn more things, right? The fourth thing I would say is understanding how to cover stories on different platforms. That understanding is very important. You know, how you can use Twitter, only Twitter, to cover a story. Or how you can only use video to tell a story. You don't even have to have a written component to it, right? That is the skill that you require. So I would say training, time management, busting through myths about how reporters do, and reporters themselves have to do a introspection as to how much they are capable of doing. You know, we have a habit of saying, oh my God, doing one story a day is like killing me. But if you actually put your mind to it, you can do at least a couple of stories. So I think reporters need to reassess their own capabilities and train themselves.
What I heard you ask was how much percentage of time should we be concentrating on the business side and how much percentage of time should we be concentrating on the editorial side. Is that right? Yeah. So I think that the answer to that is the editorial people should be concentrating 90% of their time on editorial, and the business people should be concentrating 90% of their time on business, with a view over the fence, if you will, into the other person's area of expertise, so that that cooperation can continue. Well, I think, you know, we forget traditional media and digital media are quickly becoming just media. So in order to support the legacy media properties, which in turn help drive the digital media side of it, yeah, it all works together. There is digital media, legacy media, especially in the United States, have just become media.
Mobile is becoming increasingly important for news publishers as they fully embrace digital technology. A lot of that is driven by our audiences, who increasingly are using smartphones and using tablets to access information. So this is really a response to how people want to get informed and how they want to connect with the news and connect with one another. So we're seeing these trends. We know that usage on mobile devices is only going to increase. And we also know that new kinds of mobile devices are being developed, things like smartwatches and glasses. So this is not going to slow down, it's only going to accelerate, and it needs to be a point of focus. In terms of developing strategies around mobile technology, there's a lot to think about there, but I think the key piece of that is being really tuned in to the inherent advantages and also the limitations of mobile technology. So one thing that mobile often means is it's location-based. Somebody's accessing content, but we have an opportunity to know where they are when they're accessing that content. And that means that we can shape how we present them information and what information we present to them. Mobile phones also oftentimes have video and camera capabilities, and that can inform the way that we publish content and also engage with our audiences on those platforms. So being tuned in to the inherent capabilities of mobile devices, I think, is really the key.
We have been here enjoying, learning, being together, interacting, a lot of brainstorming, questioning, answering The facilitators, the Poynter faculty in the workshop have helped us to understand. We all, with our experiences in the Indian context, have also offered our experiences, and we've had vibrant, very interesting discussions. Also, two of our friends in the workshop, Varun and Rajesh, have also volunteered to document this experience and share it with all of us, which I think is a great way of demonstrating what this workshop has all, which I think is a great way of demonstrating what this workshop is all about, practicing what we learn.
Convergence has become an essential thing. The convergence here means you cannot live professionally as separate entities, whether it is print or say electronic media or say online journalism or radio, news, television, anything. There has to be convergence. That's what they say. And that is very natural also.
I'm a media entrepreneur. I've launched my own magazines in Dubai here, and I've failed because of wrong marketing strategies. So this will help me, the way journalism is going, and it can help me plan a good revenue model without compromising on journalism.
Workshops of this kind is something else, you know, like they help you equip yourself as a media person, but you need some other thing also. Like what I always remember the words of Marcus. Marcus said, journalism is the most noblest profession in the world. But I suspect now whether it is so, because you know we have there is a lot of erosion.
I had a wonderful learning experience because even when I college, we have this course called electronic media. It's basically a convergent journalism course, but still the business aspect of it is not really explored there. So this workshop helped me to identify the business aspect of the whole media organization as well as the sector, and how the revenue can be generated by collaborating both business and newsroom.
What I saw here was people had come here to unlearn and learn. So that is a good thing about this. And this variety of people actually introduced me to a world which I didn't know before. I understood that these people had a fear. They were masking this fear that the digital world will take over them. This was something I hadn't comprehended in a group of people which I had perceived as the most confident of people.
For me, so it was like a swimming against the tide, understanding more of print methodologies. Especially, even though I started visually, I started in an analog age. But in this digital convergence age, there are no boundaries for the media. And this session, thanks for Poynter and all of you, the faculty, you have led us wonderfully to the wonderful world of digital convergence, where we can create stories thoughtfully and imaginatively.
It's a whole new way of looking at technology which we are all using so frivolously.
What I'll take away from this workshop is being fearless. I mean, initially I was really scared of all this digitization and everything, but now it's much better.
I knew about Poynter from 2005 onwards. I have been looking into their website and all those things. So I wanted them to be here. I took every possible step to contact them, then arrange things here. And VIDISHA came here to meet us, and we were here in the Vivanta.
After listening to Casey and Howard and Stella and Susan, what I could realize is I didn't have to wait for so long. All I have to do is just post my story online, grab in a few tweets from here and there, put a few pictures, some videos, maybe get some data from using all these tools that they taught me, and then just make it so beautiful that people can, they would want to read it. So it was amazing, and I think the workshop is going to be useful for everybody who came here.
3-day workshop we had by Poynter Institute was really interesting, was really useful to us.
You see, we are going to give the news as the first read. There are editorials, but when you think about where the power is.
It's not the marketing department, the sales department doesn't make decisions. 300 by 250 add on it or whether I want it.
Finally, the 3-day Poynter journalism workshop is over. It was very nice session which we experienced. It was very much informative for media professionals like us, educators, media students. In all who in this fraternity, we experienced it well. We discussed a lot. We many people shared their thoughts. It was somewhat new to us. So overall, it was wonderful for us. We are so much excited and we benefited a lot from here. So we both, along with my colleague Mr. Varun Ramesh, we are signing off from Taj Gateway.
We have a little wrap-up session.
How I wish there was a